Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Boxing. I'm Leti.
I'm LB.
And let's get into this feather fight.
Woo, let's get it.
Featherweight fight.
Yeah.
So we have Brandon Figueroa,
AKA the Heartbreaker.
out of Texas, representing Mexico, versus Magsayo,
AKA Magnifico.
Magnifico, out of the Philippines. So, what did you think about the fight? Did you think the right person won the fight?
Yeah, I thought the right person won the fight, and the fight pretty much went, how I thought it was gonna go. I said I wouldn't be shocked if there would have been a late stoppage by Brandon Figueroa, but the fight pretty much played out how I thought it was gonna go. But had a.
I coming into the fight, like, I didn't even want to choose who was gonna win.
Yeah.
It was really difficult to choose from because I feel like it was really a 50-50 fight.
Mm-hmm.
Both are good fighters, and they both have power, and they like to brawl.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of leaned a little bit more towards Mark. I was just like, I just feel like, I don't know if Figueroa has fought anyone with the amount of power that Magsayo seems to have.
Yeah, with him being, the 126 pounder, the true 126 pounder. And he was talked about as having, power. That's been his thing.
Yeah, and when the round started, I do gotta say that I feel like Mark, he was walking around the ring, moving around the ring a little bit more than I was expecting him to.
That man was running. No.
Comment if you guys know, because he was saying Vargas was running on his fight. But I just thought he was going to bring the fight earlier. And even Figueroa, I think the first round, he tried to box a little bit more and kind of gauge the distance between him and Magsayo, using his jab a little bit, trying to get in after the jab.
And also, he talked about in boxing, and he actually showed us some head movement. There was a time he was slipping a bunch of punches.
He was.
And I was like, okay. So, he still was getting hit a lot, but at least he got out of the way of some of them punches.
Yeah, and he was switching righty to lefty, switching it up, making maybe Mark a little confused. But once the pressure started coming in from the fighters, I feel like Figueroa had the upper hand on that. Just the pressure just coming forward. Even Figueroa was getting caught with some clean punches from Magsayo. Some hard ones that we were just like, oh shit, like you could hear it and it was just clean. But Figueroa was taking them, smiling, laughing at some, and it was just like, oh damn,
Yeah, they kind of talk about that. Yeah, you talked about him smiling. Yeah, I think it was like in the third or fourth round, he caught like a clean, just right hand from Mark Magsayo, and he just smiled. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't worried after that because I was like, oh, he pretty much took, a strong, a good punch from him and just smiled.
But he was probably like, oh, that's what they're talking about. When he got the power, or it just whatever. But he got a chin. Yeah. I do think Magsayo got the really clean punches. Yeah. But I just think that Figueroa was just overwhelming him. Like, it was difficult to keep him off of Mark. So I feel like Mark was holding quite a bit. And he got 2 points deducted from that. And, we kind of had to rewatch it. I was like, because at the end, I think Mark was like, they never gave me a warning about holding. So I was like, I got to rewatch it. We got to rewatch it to see. There was quite a bit of warnings that was given to him about holding. And they ended up taking 2 points. And from the both power punches, I thought at least someone might go down or something, but no, we didn't get not one knockdown, nothing. But what did you think about the fight?
Yeah, it went along with a lot of things that you said. Coming into this fight, I talked about that pressure, that nonstop pressure from Brandon Figueroa, and I also talked about how explosive of a fighter Mark Magsayo is. You watch the beginning rounds, Mark Magsayo was definitely the sharper, more explosive fighter. He was landing some sharp counters, and even though he was landing them sharp counters, Brandon Figueroa was just unbothered and just kept on coming forward. And even when he was getting countered, even when he was countering him, Brandon Figueroa was countering right back. But as the fight kind of went on, that pressure just started to add up, and it was like Mark Magsayo really could not get Brandon Figueroa off him. Right. It was just like a fly, he's like, get off me. And he was, every time there was times when he would just push him off, and then Brandon Figueroa come right back. He would come right back.
He's like, damn, give me a break.
Yeah, and it was nothing. So And you know, you talked about him holding, and I was like, man, you know, the holding.
You did keep saying that throughout the whole fight.
Yeah,
like,
before the point, I was like, man, he's doing a lot of holding, and he looked uncomfortable, you know, in close. But we know that's Brandon Figueroa's. That's his MO, to fight on the inside, those body shots. But I will say this: that Mark Magsayo landed some good body shots too, especially early.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you know, there was times in the fight I was like, I don't know how he's still standing up. He literally was gassed. You know, you talked about him being gassed, and he was still throwing punches. And, you know, he would get tired, and then he would throw these flurries. Yeah. He would just throw these flurries, you know. Yeah. But I will say this, you know, a lot of the flurries, you know, a lot of times when he did it, he wasn't really landing. But in that round where he got the point deducted, man, he fought back strong, and he won the round.
He took that round.
Yeah.
And I think, like, he needed to do that just to kind of, like, wake himself up, like, I'm still here, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, he did win that round.
Yeah, and I talked about him, you know, a lot of the flurries, you know, there weren't punches landing. But in that round, when he came back, he landed a nasty flurry where he threw, like, just 5 left hooks in a row. He threw, like, 5 left hooks in a row and finished with a right hand, and it was nasty.
Yeah,
it was nasty.
They're both dogs, like, both of them for taking them punches.
Yeah, definitely, because, you know, I think, you know, with those body shots, he was taking some huge body shots from Brandon. I think he showed a lot of toughness. He showed a, you know, heart of a champion to be able to fight back. Because I think a lot of fighters. I mean, we saw what Neri did. You know, Neri was he couldn't continue, and I think a lot of fighters would have went down from all them body shots. But he said in the press conference, he said, "Hey, you know they hurt, but I can take it," and he did.
He did. So he goes those body punches when he was sparring someone. He was like, "Oh, they hurt, but I'm ready." Yeah. But. Yeah, there was though like a few ones where I kind of thought maybe Mark might go down because his leg kind of buckled a little bit. But like I said, he a dog. He took the punches. He a veteran. He got through the rounds. He did what he had to do to not get knocked out.
Yeah. And this was a close fight. And we were watching the fight, and every round she's like, "Man, these rounds are gonna be hard to score."
I'm glad I'm not no judges, or you know, it's just so difficult to judge those rounds because they were so close. The scorecard, what did you think about they had some scorecards? Yeah.
So I thought I'm gonna say like this. I thought the right person won, but the scorecards were way too wide. It was definitely a close fight. And so I didn't agree with those scorecards, but I definitely thought Brandon Figueroa won. And especially, you know, with those 2-point deductions, you know, it was, you know, it just kind of stamped it. But it was definitely, definitely a close fight. But I think I was gonna say, but yeah, what do you think about the scorecards?
With the scorecards, like I said, we had to rewatch the fight the next day because the way we seen those, I was like, wait, did I miss something on the rounds? How they had those scorecards so big difference? So we watched it, and I was just like, damn, I really don't know who this round is. And again, it can be the judges, if they like to see more of this or more of that to give it to them. But yeah, I feel like Mark should have got a little bit more points. But
and to talk about it, I mean, Brandon Figueroa definitely closed the show. I mean, from 10, 11, and 12, those championship rounds, he clearly won those fights. Won those rounds, and the 10th round was that was probably his most dominant round. And we said that was probably the clearest round we've seen.
Exactly. I was like, wow, I think each one of them had like about one round that was like clean, like, okay, that's his round. Yeah. The other one was just like, fuck, I don't know. I don't even know who to give it to. But I definitely do think that Figueroa did win. He did win, and now he has an interim belt.
Yeah, now he has the interim belt to the title. But one other thing I want to say is, if you watched our previous prediction on this fight, one of the things I talked about was the fact that Mark Magsayo, you know, throughout a round, you know, you'll see him land the cleanest shots out of the round. But I feel like sometimes he doesn't do enough to actually win the round. I think a lot of those rounds that's exactly what the case was. And yeah, you know, you kind of talked about this. You know, earlier about, him kind of gassing out, and, you know, he said, this is the most movement you've seen him. And yeah, I think that definitely played a toll. And also, you know, the thing that was also tiring him, because, you know, I kind of talked about the flurries, but one thing that really makes you tired is when you're throwing a lot of punches and they're not landing. So I think a combination of those things, moving around the ring, throwing a lot of combinations and, you know, not necessarily hitting the target, I think that really zapped his energy, along with Brandon Figueroa putting on that pressure, going to that body. And Brandon, Brandon, you know, when he was in that southpaw stance, he was landing some nice right hooks too.
Exactly what happened, yeah. But
So,
he was pissed. He didn't win, obviously.
Yeah.
But okay, so we got Figueroa, the winner of this. Ray Vargas was out there.
Ray Vargas was there. So the interim title, you know, for the WBC title.
So what do you think he's gonna do next? I mean, they asked him, and he had a few different things to say. But what do you think is next for him?
Of course, you know, I know he still wants that that rematch, but we know that that rematch with Stephen Fulton. But we know that Stephen Fulton is
He's got a good fight.
Yeah, he got a good one. So you know, I think that it should be the fight with Ray Vargas. You know, I know that if Mark Magsayo won, I'm sure they would have, you know, definitely ran a rematch. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's the fight that should be made. Yeah. I mean, is there somebody you kind of...
I think that's a good fight. I think that's going to be a crazy fight. Mm-hmm. We have the boxer versus the pressure fighter. Mexico. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that another thing, I think that'd be a good fight because after Ray Vargas' last fight, you know, he said Shaki was running.
Oh.
So just like Mark Magsayo found out, you ain't gonna have to. There ain't gonna be no running when you fight Brandon Figueroa. He's gonna be right there.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the fight to happen next, and let's see if it gets happened. And let's see if it gets done.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
But do you think any other second roundups if that fight doesn't happen?
You know what? I kind of want to talk about this 126-pound division. I feel like it's kind of like a special time right now in that division. Currently, right now, there's 3 world champions from Mexico. World champions from Mexico.
I know where you're getting to.
Yeah.
That fight.
There's this, you know, and the other, I'm gonna say this, the other 2 champions from Mexico. We already know that Ray Vargas, you know, got the WBC, but also we just saw Mauricio Lara. You know, he secured the title. You know, going to the UK and taking the title from Lee Wood. And then we also have Luis Lopez, who won the title versus Warrington. Both of them, you know, they got those victories in the UK. And I think that it would. I would actually like to see the 4, you know, those 3 and Brandon Figueroa. I would like to see them, you know, fight each other and the winners fight each other. I think it would just be for a, you know, I think it would be great.
For undisputed or at some point.
Well, we know it won't be for undisputed because coming up, we do have Robesi Ramirez versus Dogbe for that other title.
You mean that each person fights?
Yeah, so maybe, you know, obviously there's so much politics in boxing, but I mean, if you know, if I'm speaking just from a fan perspective and what I would like to see, you know, I would like to see Ray Vargas, you know, of course, fight Brandon Figueroa, and then see Luis Lopez and Lara unify, and then the winners fight each other. Yeah. You know, and I think that would be good. But we do know that you know, Eddie Hearn has Mauricio Lara, and you know, he's already kind of talked about you know, either the fight with Josh Warrington. We already saw they got bad blood, so they're probably going to want to make that.
Ooh, yeah.
We saw that. And then we also know that you know, Luis Lopez went over and you know, he's with Top Rank. And so I think I read something about them trying to get make a fight with him and Conlon. And Conlon lost. He was the one who got knocked out by Lee Wood. So, but I would like to see that. And then, you know, if they did want to get Conlon, you know, a title shot, maybe he can get the winner of Robesi and Dogbe.
Oh, I can't wait to see Robesi.
Yeah, that's gonna be a
But okay, we'll say that for another one. But yeah, there's a few fights to be had. I'm excited to see what's next. Again, every time Figueroa fights, you know we're tuning in because he's just an explosive fighter like that. Yeah. And Mark too. He's going up to 130. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. You know how the PBC decides to move him going up to 130. You know, we do know that Shaki got one of the titles over there. We know Hector Garcia got a title over there. And there's also 2 that moved up too from 126. We know that Leo Santa Cruz said, you know, he vacated his title at 126 and said that, you know, he wants to fight at 130 and he was looking, you know, to fight there. And we also know that Gary Russell moved up to 130 as well. And he said there's no reason for him to be at 126. So maybe we can get that rematch between Gary Russell.
We said, We said we need that rematch.
Yeah.
We definitely need that rematch.
And I think that would be a good rematch because, I know Marcus heard the chatter of people said that, he lost it, and Gary Russell had one hand. So this is a chance for him to get that back. Right. And this is a chance for Gary to get back also. Yeah, for both.
Yeah.
And people will want to see it. So, But yeah, it was once again amazing performance from Brandon Figueroa, aka the Heartbreaker, aka the trench warfare veteran. But we just can't wait to see him back. But that's all we got. So let us know below what you guys thought of the fight or who you want to see them match up with next. But thanks for tuning in, y'all.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Or talk your shit.